Hello everybody, Martin Radner here from Radner Law Group, bringing you trial analysis. Never a dull moment in the Melly case. A new motion that was filed today by the state, by the new prosecutor, about the Melly case. October 25th, this was just filed, and listen to this. You're just not going to believe what is going on in the Melly case. It's just unbelievable. So before we jump into it, please, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel, like the video so we can continue having this channel grow. Well, this is what the state alleges in this motion. All right, here we go. As we all know, jury selection is going on right now in the Melly trial. This is going to take a while, and there's no cameras in the courtroom. Nobody knows what's going on during jury selection. Only if you're actually present in the courtroom do you know what's going on. So here we have a little glimpse into what's going on in the courtroom because the prosecutor put in this motion about certain things that are going on. So get ready, hold on to your seats. This is what's going on. As we all know, initially, the first thing that the court has to do is to see if anybody has a hardship with the extent of time that this jury is going, this trial is going to take. So it may take a few weeks. You know, people are busy. So that's the first thing that they have to do, is just to see if anyone is available to be able to sit for the next few weeks as a juror. So they're going through a number of different panels. And where they left off last is jury panel number 4. Jury panel number 4 was the first group of 100 jurors that were brought up to the courtroom to be pre-qualified. So first is their pre-qualification to see whether they can actually just simply get over the first extent of time question and maybe some other very, very, very simple questions. And then after they get a group of jurors that are able to, be able to devote the time and to be able to just, put some very, very simple biases aside or things like that, then they'll move on to the actual real jury selection process. But this is the first part. So of the first 100 jurors that were brought up, there's 12 that are set to return. They're set to return November 6th, 2023. So as we said, this is going to be a process before we even get to the retrial, actually the opening statements. So out of the 100 jurors, 12 jurors are set to return. Now, here's where it gets interesting. This is what the state says. I'm not making this up. This is just what the state says. It could be they're making up, but I'm just telling you what they filed in their motion. Unbeknownst to the state, juror number 306 is a Broward Sheriff's Office employee. So one of the jurors that happened to have were called for this case is a Broward Sheriff's Office employee, and the state didn't know that. So they're letting you know we didn't know that this person was involved. After being released as a juror, juror number 306 called BSO legal counsel. So this Broward Sheriff's Office employee was called as a juror, and now she's being released. She wasn't able to sit as a juror. Now she contacts the BSO legal counsel, Christian Sabanos, I hope that's the way you say his name, to inform him of concerning information she witnessed during her jury service. So this is juror number 306, who is an employee at Broward Sheriff's Office, and she's letting the legal counsel know about things that she observed and she witnessed during her jury service. And here we go. Juror number 306 stated she witnessed a black female wearing blue scrubs sitting in the courtroom with the deputies while the jurors were being questioned. So this is a lady that is in the courtroom. She is a black female and she's wearing blue scrubs. She indicated when all of the jurors were leaving, she witnessed the same woman standing by the entrance doors to the courthouse on the 3rd floor. So this same woman who was in the courtroom wearing those scrubs now all of a sudden is by the entrance doors to the courthouse on the 3rd floor, and that is where the jurors walk in and out of, because that is where the jurors' parking lot is located. Now, juror number 306 immediately recognized this woman as the same woman she observed sitting in the courtroom during jury selection, and her attention was drawn to her. Why was her attention drawn to her? Due to the fact that the female was observed to be obviously crying into a tissue as the jurors walked out. So here's this lady. She was sitting in the courtroom. She was wearing scrubs, and now she's standing right by the entrance and exit of the jurors where they're going to the parking lot, and she's crying into a tissue. Continues the state. Juror number 306 indicated the female was by herself, appeared very upset, and was wiping her tears with a tissue. The state continues. Now this is the state talking. This juror 306, that's all that she was letting the legal counsel know. Now the state's talking. The state says the defendant's mother, Jamie King, was present for jury selection on October 24th, 2023. Ms. King was the only civilian non-juror sitting in the audience during jury selection and was wearing blue scrubs. So the state is saying it is very obvious that this person is Melly's mother. Now, continuing. It was also very apparent that Ms. King was in and out of the courtroom throughout the proceedings throughout the day. So she's in and out of the courtroom. She's not just sitting in one spot observing. She's in and out and in and out. And it should be noted that at no point did Ms. King appear to be upset or in distress during the proceedings. She didn't seem to be upset at all. All of a sudden she's crying later on. What happened? On the contrary, she appeared in good spirits at all times. In fact, at one point, Ms. King saw a coworker on the panel. So here's Melly's mother who sees a coworker who's on the panel of the jurors, which potentially could be chosen to preside, to hear the case of her son. And she was giddy. Her demeanor was giddy when she witnessed this juror walk in, and the state placed her behavior on the record. So the state let the record know, let the judge know, and they made a record of this, meaning that the court reporter actually wrote this down. So the state got up and the prosecutor said, we'd like to make a record, and the record is that for some reason, Ms. King is very giddy now, and they felt that it was important to put that on the record. So they put that on the record. When initially asked if anyone heard of the case or the defendant's stage name, this particular juror, who was found out later to be a co-worker of Melly's mother, this particular juror coyly stated he had heard of it, insinuating he did not know much. So he said, yeah, I've heard of it, didn't know much. It was only after being brought back in after a restroom break when Ms. King could have been roaming the halls with this juror that he eventually came forward and indicated he knew the defendant's mother and elaborated on their relationship. So you see that there must have been some sort of contact, or that's what they're suggesting, that there was some sort of contact between Melly's mother, Ms. King, and this potential juror. The state continues. The state also noted that Ms. King left the courtroom prior to the juror's dismissal during the afternoon session of jury selection on October 24, 2023. So here is, she's leaving the courtroom before the jury, the potential jurors, are being dismissed. Why is that? And the state is suggesting, well, she's doing that because she wants to be around when the jurors are dismissed so that she can kind of mingle and kind of be noticed by them. She also walked in late while the jurors were all in the hallway waiting to enter. So everyone was supposed to be in court, let's say at 12 o'clock. They bring the potential jurors up at 12:10, and then they bring the jurors in, so nobody can really have contact. Well, Ms. King came in late, and therefore she was able to have some sort of contact with the jurors, potentially, during that time. Continues the state. This is just unbelievable. The state is aware that Ms. King is typically dropped off in front of the main entrance to the courthouse, which is nowhere near the juror parking garage. So now the state continues, the prosecutor is continuing and saying, we know that Ms. King, Melly's mother, is typically dropped off in front of the main entrance of the courthouse, which is nowhere near the juror parking lot garage. So what in the world is she doing there? Continues. The state continues. The state is also aware that during the prior trial, that individuals associated with the defendant loitered around the same area Ms. King positioned herself while jurors were walking freely to their vehicles. So the state also is letting the court know that during the first trial, there were also some individuals that are associated with Melly who are standing around the same area where the jurors are leaving the courthouse to go to their vehicles. Again, opportunity to have some sort of contact with people that are associated with the defendant, with Melly. It is apparent Ms. King positioned herself in an area that is known for where these prospective jurors would be present. So the state says it is apparent to them that Ms. King is doing this on purpose. She's doing it to specifically position herself in an area where these jurors would be present. It is highly inappropriate for Ms. King or any other party to place themselves in a position where their conduct could have an impact on the jury. Positioning yourself at the juror parking garage and crying is a clear attempt to manipulate or influence potential jurors returning for attorney questioning. Now, it gets even more. Listen to this. Furthermore, juror number 349, a different juror, informed the state that while walking into the courtroom and while seated in the courtroom with her fellow jurors, Ms. King made it a point to try and make intense eye contact with her. Juror number 349 described this behavior as someone clearly trying to get her attention and speak with her eyes. Juror number 349 interpreted Ms. King's behavior as a way for Ms. King to try and approach the juror later, which was extremely uncomfortable. Juror number 349 indicated Ms. King was seated quite close to her, and that is why she could see her while seated in the courtroom for questioning. So the state continues, Ms. King's behavior is nonverbal communication and is completely improper. This issue is what the state raised as a major concern at the beginning of this second trial. This is one of the many motions that were filed that the state mentioned, is that we have to be very careful about people getting to the jury. And they're saying, look, it's happening in front of our eyes. That is why there are heightened security protocols in place. Despite these heightened security protocols, security concerns have now arisen regarding improper jury contact and attempted jury tampering only 2 days into the trial. So they're letting the court letting the court know about all this stuff that's going on. So now, what's the state going to ask for? So here's what the state asks for: a number of things. Number one, the state is asking the court to conduct an inquiry of all pre-qualified jurors, as the court and all parties are aware that Ms. King was also in the hallway during the first day of jury selection. So now, what the prosecution wants, the state wants, is that the judge should now stop the whole jury selection and make an inquiry into each of the potential jurors and ask them about Ms. King's behavior to them. Ask them if there's been any contact. Has there been any eye contact? Has there been any physical, just being around in the same area? They want to make an inquiry. They want the judge to make an inquiry to find out what's going on. Has there been any contact with all these jurors? That's number one. In addition, we're just jumping ahead. In addition to conducting an inquiry as to all jurors returning for further voir dire questioning, the state requests, and here we go, the state requests another thing. The court enter a written order that Ms. King is not to have contact with the jurors. So they want this in an order that Ms. King is not to have contact with the jurors, not to enter the building, not even to go into the building, into the courthouse, unless called as a witness, and not to come within 1,000 feet of the building. So now they're asking that she should be completely precluded, not allowed from coming even within 1,000 feet of the courthouse, unless she's called as a witness. So she cannot view the trial, she cannot be there, she cannot be present, nothing. They don't want her anywhere near it. So they understand that they're asking a lot, because at the end of the day, it is Melly's mother who's, and his life hangs in the balance. How can the court not allow the mother to, his own mother to be there during this court case? So the state alternatively suggests, should the court not issue such an order, the state requests at the very least that Ms. King be prevented from attending any further days of jury selection. So they're saying, well, at least we should not allow her to be here during jury selection, because she's very obviously trying to tamper with the jury. Furthermore, should Ms. King feel the need to enter the courthouse or parking structures, the state requests that she be required to check in with the Broward Sheriff's office. So if she's going to come in, she's got to check in with the office. I'm not sure what that's accomplishing for them, but maybe she'll be escorted by some sort of officer to make sure that she's behaving. But that's another thing that they're asking. Additionally, they want another thing. An admonishment from the court is requested, as any further inappropriate conduct would also be considered contempt of court. So they want the judge to admonish her and say, if you do this again, if we find that you've done any of this, you are going to be held in contempt of court, which is not pleasant. Ms. King has already gone through the trial process once and is aware of the court's instructions regarding behavior around jurors. And yet, so she's very aware, because she always knows. This is said so many times during a trial. Don't have any contact. Don't talk to the jurors. Don't even say good morning. And this is said over and over and over in a trial. So Ms. King is well aware of this. This is what the state's arguing. And yes, she has still found a need to stand in the exact area jurors park and cry as they walk by. The appearance of impropriety alone requires a hearing. And due to her behavior, the requested sanction should be imposed. And now they ask also, they ask for some other relief also. They're going to have the defendants are going to have all the 6 other individuals that are going to appear in court on October 20, they're calling it October 25th, 2023, but there's going to be some more defendants showing up, and they want there to be a buffer between the defendants and the potential jurors, where they're sitting in the gallery before they're called to the jury box. Okay, they also, furthermore, the state requests that all individuals entering the court must check in with valid identification. Okay, some other things. But that is essentially, this is all about Melly's mother, Ms. King, about some of the conduct that jurors have noticed and are talking about. Maybe there'll be an evidentiary hearing. Maybe they'll call that jury in, these jurors that complained, and they'll have an evidentiary hearing about this. I don't know, and it's going to be hard to know, because right now the courtroom is locked to the public. We don't know what's going on in there, but just unbelievable stuff. I guess we'll see if the defense files an answer, and we'll see if the judge eventually enters an order specifically regarding Ms. King, Melly's mother, what she is allowed to do and what she's not allowed to do during this trial. So just unbelievable stuff. Never a dull moment in the Melly trial. Please, if you haven't yet, subscribe and like the video so we can continue growing. See you next time.